Hey guys, today I wanted to talk to you about the books that I read in July. I have 3 books to talk about. One is a novella and the other ones are like real novels. So I'm going to start off with the novella because it is so short but so good. This is a German book. This is by Tanja Heitmann and it's called Sirenenlied. I don't know whether any of her works are translated, but I really like this book. It's only like 100 and a few pages, like roughly around 120 pages. It's a novella, but it doesn't belong into a bigger series. It's just a standalone novella. And this is about sirens, like these mystical creatures that sing, I can't talk today, and men are drawn into the sea, into their arms. So this book is about a boy. His name is Josh. So Josh had a father, and his father was taken by the sirens, and the word is that he actually knew the word, the password to get into the sirens' kingdom, and he now lives there happily ever after, something like that. So when Josh is 14, he meets his own siren, and she tells him that he's not ready yet, but that she will come back to collect him, basically. And now Josh is a lot older, and he feels that the time has come, but he really doesn't want to go with the siren because on the one hand he is forced to love her because of her magic, but on the other hand he hates her because he knows that the sirens have taken his father and he doesn't want to go with her. So this little novella is all about the struggle, how he tries not to go with her even though the magic is so strong and he is so drawn to it. And I thought this was very interesting. I haven't read anything similar to that. It was really nice that the book was so short because you know, there isn't a lot of like drama around it. It's just very basic, like, I don't know, I just really prefer stories like that. And then also I wish it would have had 100 pages more because there were some really interesting thoughts, but they were not thought out completely. Like, for example, in one scene someone says that these sirens are not human and so they have their own right and wrong and they don't see it as wrong to take man's life. So I thought that was very interesting, but then the thought was kind of gone and there was no kind of storytelling around it. It was just like, oh, I said that and now let's move on. And that was kind of sad because I really like that thought. I think it's amazing because that's probably the thing with every creature. Like, it shouldn't be bad for a vampire to hurt a human. I mean, it's not bad for us that we eat pigs and cows and stuff like that. So it's just a different race and it has its own kind of right and wrong and stuff like that. Very interesting. I really enjoyed this. I think I gave this 4 out of 5 stars because I wanted it to be a little bit more. There was more potential even, but I really enjoyed it, and if you understand German or if you find a translation of this, I would definitely recommend you pick it up because it is quite different, you know, there's no vampires and stuff like that. So the next book I want to talk about is a full-length novel, and this is the 3rd case of Mrs. Murphy. In German it's called Mord in Monticello. I think in English it is Murder at Monticello or Old Sins. That's the English title. This is the third book in the series. I really enjoyed the first 2 books, but this one was kind of a letdown. I think I gave this one 3 stars because actually I had trouble understanding it. Now, the first 2 books were mainly about like the about living in a small village in the United States, and I thought that was so interesting. Like, I have never experienced that because I am obviously from Germany, and so seeing this other culture and hearing about all these different characters, it was very interesting, and I loved that about the books. Now in this third book, that is kind of only the background noise. Many characters have changed. One character that I really liked has disappeared, which I hated. It's Blair. He was in the second book and kind of the love interest of the main character, but he disappeared in this third book, and now the ex-husband of the main character tries to win her back, which I hate. Like, I hate that. I am very strict with the thought that if a relationship has ended, there is a reason, and you mostly just can't work through that. And like, the ex-husband in this book was really mean and he cheated on her, and I would not take this a-hole back. But you know, I just didn't like that. I'm Team Blair, to say so. So that was that. And then there are new characters, obviously. But the whole story is about Thomas Jefferson, and since I'm not from the United States, I just don't have a lot of background knowledge about that. Because obviously we have heard the names and stuff like that, but I cannot tell you exactly where he lived, what he did, how many children he had, I don't know. Now this book is fictional, so it's about Thomas Jefferson's heirs, but they're not real, like they don't exist in any way, but still it is very hard to understand if you're not from America and you're not raised with the knowledge about all the old presidents and all that stuff. It is supposed to be about the slaves back in the time of Thomas Jefferson, but it's not really. Like, the murder case is like an ancient case, like there is a victim in the ruins of a house of one of the black servants of Thomas Jefferson. But then there's also this connection to his heir now. And I can't even explain it because I got so confused, but all these characters that are connected with Thomas Jefferson, they all have the same names, and that's probably very historical true. But I just didn't understand it. Like, I had to look back whether this and that was the son or the father or the mother or the sister, or I don't know. It was just so confusing. And I really liked about the first two books that you always could guess who it is, and it was very interesting. And this was interesting as well, but I totally lost track of all the characters and I got completely confused with all the names. And so in the end I was like, oh well, that's it. So who was the murderer? You know, it was too complicated for foreign reader, I would say. If you don't know a lot of Thomas Jefferson, it's very hard to understand. And then also there's a little bit of biological facts that I have never heard of. They're definitely interesting, but yeah, don't know. So this is not the best book in the series, definitely not. Now on to an even more disappointing book because I didn't have the best reading month. This little chunk of a book. In German it is called Die Erfindung der Violet Adams. In English it is called All Men of Genius. So the author is Lev Rosen AC. I don't have any idea what kind of name that is. But yeah, I got this book because I read about it on a German blog years and years and years ago. Then I won it in a giveaway, and since then it was sitting on my shelf and I didn't feel like picking it up. But now I have decided that I really want to get rid of my unread books, like I really want to read them and then decide whether I want to keep them or not, because my shelves are pretty full right now. So this is a book that I will definitely not keep. Where do I start? Now the main character is a girl called Violet Adams, and she wants to go to a school for mechanics. Like, this is kind of a steampunky book, the first one that I've read ever in my life, and I honestly, yeah, no, I don't know. Is it worth picking up other steampunk books? Let me know, and let me know recommendations, because this one was so bad. But This is in the like 1900s, I think, in London, and she wants to go to that very famous school for mechanics and science in general, but she's a woman, so she's not allowed there. So she decides to dress up as her twin brother and to go to that school in the year when her father is away on a very important conference somewhere in the United States. So I thought that would be very interesting, but I was wrong. All that this book is a very, very bad romance, like very weird, didn't like that so much. And then the characters are also quite weird. Like the main character, she's supposed to be like 17, I think, and turning 18. And whenever I read from her point of view, I felt like she was 11. Like she didn't have any kind of social knowledge, or like, I don't know, she was supposed to be so clever, but then it really felt like reading from an 11-year-old perspective. So I didn't like that. And then she obviously meets that boy, but then she's like, oh no, I'm not in love with him at all, like for all of the book. And then finally she realizes, oh my god, I am. And then there's this huge kind of rubbish at the end, I don't know. So in the back of the book it talks about a conspiracy against the queen, and that Violet is the one to discover it and to kind of resolve the problem. But honestly, Violet is so busy with all her I'm not in love, but what is that strange feeling, that she doesn't see the conspiracy that is going on behind her back. And then in the last moment she's like, oh, that's happening. I don't know, like, no. I did not like this book. I think I gave it like 2 stars, maybe. It wasn't written well, the romance was boring and annoying, the main character was like immature. Like the only good thing about this book is the gay twin brother. He is so cool. He's probably inspired by Oscar Wilde, but not that I'm trying to say that he is like Oscar Wilde. It's just the vibe that I got, that he's supposed to be like Oscar Wilde. But still, he's a very interesting character, and I would have loved to see more of him, because that was the only authentic character in the whole book. Like the one way where like, yeah, that person could actually exist and would be able to live without help. And yeah, he was just a side character. Like after the first couple of pages he disappeared into nothing basically and never came back. But yeah, not a fan of this book. Now I wouldn't be so harsh, because this is a first novel and I have read first novels that were kind of similar and that I really enjoyed. But with this book I read the kind of, what's it called, like the thanks part, where you thank people. I don't know what it's called in English, but I read that and it starts with like, oh, now I've proved that I am amazing. And I'm like, what? This book is everything but not amazing, and like from a writer's point of view it is pretty much a waste of paper. I don't know, I mean, how can you start this thanks part of your first novel with I've proved I'm amazing? I don't know, even if it is like ironic, what is that supposed to be? I was like so confused. And then the other thing is that there's Latin in this book, and I am like 98% sure that it is wrong. It is wrong, like the grammar is not right. And so I tweeted the author saying, hey, your Latin isn't that great, maybe, you know, let someone check it for your next book. And he was like, no, it is right. And I'm very sure it's not. And he was like very stubborn, to say the least, and I don't like that. You know, if you're a young author, you should be thankful for something like that. I mean, you don't want to have mistakes in your books, I would say. And I checked and I found these same mistakes in the English version as well, so it's not like a translation thing. So yeah, I just really didn't like that. I will never buy a book of this author again, because he just character that I don't like. I don't like this kind of personality, and I really don't want him to get my money. So no, don't like that. So yeah, this book is sold. I'm not going to keep this. If anyone wants it, I will give it away for a tiny little bit of money. But then yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you've read this month, and I will talk to you very, very soon. Bye!